Welcome to 5 Points of Articulation. With the new Spider-Man Retro series hitting shelves, and what would have been Toy Fair right around the corner, I thought it would be a fun opportunity to count down my picks for the top 10 Marvel Legends Spider-Man Retro figures that I hope they make next. A lot of them are ones you've probably heard before, but some of them might surprise you. For example, number 10, SpiderSense Spider-Man. One of my favorite things about the Spider-Man animated series was the way that it visualized Spider-Man's SpiderSense. This classic figure captured that color scheme and would be a very easy redeco for Hasbro. Number 9, Mary Jane Watson. Not only have we already gotten an official Marvel Legends Mary Jane, but the first retro wave included an alternate head so you could turn Gwen Stacy into her. That said, one thing that we have not gotten is this very iconic animated series look. I put it relatively low on the list because it's probably never going to happen, but when I think of Mary Jane, this is what I think of, and I'd love to have a new one for my shelf. Failing that, I definitely wouldn't mind if they did a redo of the Christmas pack. Number 8, the Vulture. By and large, the animated series stuck pretty close to the more classic interpretations of the characters, but for the Vulture, they went for the 90s rejuvenation era version. In a lot of ways, it kind of reminds me of the Ultimate Vulture, which Hasbro already gave us, and that's one reason why I have it kind of low on the list. I'm also pretty happy with the Vulture that we already have, but if we're ever going to complete the animated series collection, this version of Vulture is a must. Number 7, Dr. Octopus. Similar to the Vulture, Otto Octavius got a very distinct upgrade for the animated series. While I'm very happy with the version that we've gotten, there's just something about this 90s armor that makes it my favorite Doc Ock design. It's also worth remembering that this is around the time that James Cameron was going to make his own Spider-Man movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger as Doc Ock, and to my eye, this does really seem like what he would have been like in the role. Least ways, it's better than the Arnold Schwarzenegger comic book character come to life that we did get. Number 6, the Chameleon. I think this one's pretty high on everybody's list, and it would be pretty easy for Hasbro to do, considering how many years it's been since they gave us their original Chameleon, and also how boring that version was. This to me would be the definitive figure of this character. Number 5, the Lizard. I think I speak for a lot of us when I say that the Marvel Legends Lizard that we've gotten wasn't exactly my favorite. Currently, I use the Marvel Select in my collection, but a 100% newly sculpted Lizard more in line with the cartoons would absolutely be an instant buy for me. And hey, if they wanted to, they could have a red-shirted variant as a fan channel exclusive. And then they can take that new body that they make and give it a Todd McFarlane style head for a more Torment version of the Lizard, and that would be another instant buy for me. If you follow the rumors, there's a persistent one that we will be getting a retro card Lizard this year, but of course it remains to be seen whether or not that's just going to be a repack of the Build-A-Figure that we've already gotten, or the whole new sculpt that I really hope that we get. Number 4 is a tie. First, 6-Arms Spider-Man. I know that Hasbro already gave us one, but for me it's just one of the most disappointing modern era Marvel Legends. And to be honest, it's not even because of the articulation. I totally get that the engineering for that level of posability did require some sacrifices, and that's completely fine. Granted, if they could find some way of adding more, that would be cool, but my biggest issue is the fact that they use the amazing Spider-Man 2 body as the base. Not only do you have the sculpted web lines instead of the painted ones, but then you've got that basketball texture all over the blue parts. If you go into painted, I'm sure it looks fine on its own, but it doesn't look like it belongs with the rest of your Marvel Legends Spider-Man collection. Either way, it doesn't look like their standard Spider-Man sprouted 4 extra arms. What I desperately want is a new version of 6-Armed Spider-Man based on the retro style buck with painted on webs. And hey, you could even do him with the full costume so he stands out more from the other one. So with all that being said, what could possibly be tied for that? Man Spider. It originated with the animated series, and that's absolutely where it belongs in the toy line, but I only want it if it's either a completely new sculpt all on its own, or if it's made on that new body that I just pitched. If it's on that amazing Spider-Man 2 base buck, I don't want it. And then, hey, maybe in a couple of years they could take another swing at Doppelganger. Number 3, Smythe. When it comes to Spider-Man characters that I mainly associate with the animated series, Smythe is definitely up there. Between the mullet and the shoulder hooks, it's a really weird design, and it could probably be accomplished with a minimum of new parts. I missed out on the Smythe figure that Toy Biz made when I was a kid, but if Marvel Legends gave us one, it's definitely a mistake I would not make twice. Number 2 goes right along with him, the SpiderSlayer. As a die-hard Aliens fan, I love this thing. It was one of my favorite toys from the line, which I unfortunately sacrificed to make an Alien custom when I was a kid, and if Hasbro made one now, it would be one of the crowning pieces of my collection. Before I reveal my pick for number 1, I do want to lift up one honorable mention, the Rhino. I think Rhino tops a lot of people's lists, but for me it's honestly kinda low. Mainly because I was so happy with the Marvel Select version that I was never really interested in the Build-A-Figure. That said, a lot of people were, and a lot of people missed out, so throwing him in one of those extra large retro cards would definitely make a lot of people happy. And if Hasbro wanted to give him this bluish purple color scheme, that would probably make a lot of people happy too. And my number 1 pick for a Marvel Legends Retro Spider-Man figure is Madam Webb. Voiced by the wife of Stan Lee himself, Madam Webb is synonymous with Spider-Man the Animated Series. This Toy Biz figure is the only one that was ever made. Recently, Funko released a pop version of her, which does give me some hope that there's interest in the character. That said, I do understand that her being a sitting character in a long dress does present some challenges, but if you really want to give us a complete Spider-Man Animated Series collection, we absolutely need Madam Webb to tie it all together. I hope you've enjoyed my picks for the top 10 Spider-Man retro figures that I hope Hasbro makes. How does it compare to your picks? Sound off in the comments and tell me some of yours below. Also, check out my reviews of the Animated Series Retro Style Shocker and the PulseCon exclusive Venom. I'll be back again real soon, but until then, play nice and have fun.